So over the last couple of years, my career and kind of my niche has really become helping endurance athletes reach goal or race weight while remaining strong and performing better. Oftentimes whenever someone's trying to lose weight, performance goes downhill. And so kind of the combination of these two has become very important in kind of what I do. And how we achieve that is, there's lots to it, and we've discussed, daily nutrition versus training nutrition and all this. But for fat loss, it really, in my opinion, comes down to carbohydrates. And that seems like it might be kind of fad diet-ish, I realize, and it seems like that's pretty tough for an endurance athlete because we all know that we need carbohydrates. But I'll tell you, this is why a lot of times that performance and weight loss kind of go hand in hand, and why a lot of endurance athletes kind of are on the edge as they get to race weight of kind of feeling very sickly and not having powers, because we have concentrated so much on needing the carbohydrates in our diets that a lot of times we go about losing fat all the wrong ways. So, how to take care of this issue is I've found that in daily nutrition, now this is just our meals and snacks that we eat, for health, for wellness, for long-lasting energy throughout the day, we don't need quite as many carbohydrates as we used to think in there. So at most meals, breakfast, snacks, and lunch that are happening during the daytime, it is okay to have 1-2 sources. So that would be like a piece of fruit would be one source of carbohydrates. I tend to like to go less on the grains and more on the fruits and kind of healthy vegetables that have carbs in them, like yams and sweet potatoes, winter squash, that sort of thing, because I find that those just have so many antioxidants and so many good things for us that I don't want to waste the carbs on the grains, to be honest. I don't feel like they have nearly as much for us. Within the grains, I do think that intact, so ones that you can completely see the grain, like oats and like rice, those two are okay, and we can use those. Quinoa is another one that's kind of more like a grain-like seed. That's another one that we can use and are beneficial to us. But for the most part, these grains and these grain products that involve broken down grains that we reconstitute into foods just don't have a lot to offer us nutritionally, so they're kind of a waste of carbs in my opinion. So what I do with clients is we usually reduce those carbs in daily meals, and at dinner we kind of eliminate them. There will be a few carbs that come through in all those vegetables we eat at dinner, but it's not going to be much. Mostly I'm focusing on a healthy protein source and loads of vegetables and healthy fats at dinners. We simply do not need that energy and those extra carbs at night when we're usually relaxing and then going to bed. You'll find that you sleep better, that you feel lighter, that you wake up hungry, which is, not starving, but hungry, ready to go the next morning whenever you just kind of cut out those carbs at night. A way we do that is just to eat meat and vegetables, or if it's something that requires carbs, like lettuce wraps, using zucchini and using spaghetti squash for kind of pasta dishes. Now, a couple nights a week, I usually have clients cheat. 2 cheat nights or 2 cheat meals whenever they want to per week, and that helps out. But overall, we go pretty low on the grains, especially at dinner time. Now, so how does this work as an athlete? You're thinking, oh, that sounds horrible, no energy. No, training nutrition comes into the rescue and brings the carbs in exactly when you can use them. You can use carbs immediately before, during, and after training. You can use them without needing insulin as much. Insulin is the hormone that comes in when you ingest carbs. It's like a key. So you've got these carbs, you ate them, they go into your stomach, then they go into your intestines. They are absorbed to your liver and then sent out as sugar all over your body. Now, your body does not like for your bloodstream to get loaded up with sugar. So anyone who does not have diabetes, we have something in place to alleviate all that sugar that's rising in our bloodstream. It's called insulin. Insulin is like a key that goes around and opens up the cells and lets the sugar go from the bloodstream to the cells. In the bloodstream, it does a lot of harm. Whenever someone does have diabetes, and this doesn't happen, so their sugars go up, 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 one thing that happens is the arteries become hard. That's a very unhealthy state to be in. Blood pressure goes up, blindness can occur, all kinds of stuff, kidney damage. So our bodies are very interested in getting that sugar out of the bloodstream into the cells where it's not as harmful. But guess what? In the cells, it's storing fat. That's how it's stored. So that is a problem when you're trying to lose fat. When you take away this whole reaction of carbs, then insulin, then fat storage, you can kind of start to break down a lot of fat, use it, and not store as much. But in the case of training nutrition, guess what? Our bodies just readily use the blood sugar. It's used into cells without that whole insulin storage process. In fact, whenever I've worked with type 1 diabetes who are insulin dependent from a very young age, and they're high-level athletes, and we know that throughout the day they have to inject themselves with insulin, so we have a visual of how much insulin it takes for them to deal with, for their bodies to deal with a certain amount of carbs. During training, they don't require insulin. In fact, even though they're eating all those carbs, we're worried about low blood sugars. And when I have them check their blood sugars every 30 minutes when we start, so I know what's going on, we find they don't need insulin. So when you're training, you don't need insulin, and you don't get this whole reaction. To think that foods are always metabolized the same in our body, no matter what we're doing, is just inaccurate. Your body changes when you are sedentary. It changes right then at that moment, and it also changes over time in a sedentary lifestyle compared to when you're active. So this is kind of the key to how we can do less carbs day to day and lose fat. We are loading still with healthy proteins and healthy fats and all kinds of vegetables, and so we don't feel sickly. In fact, many kind of pro-level athletes, cyclists that I've worked with feel like, oh, I've never felt so good. I can't believe I get to eat all this fat and still we're maintaining race weight. It's pretty awesome. But then during training nutrition, we give our bodies what it needs when it needs it. I've kind of told you everything I know and all about my niche, so hopefully I haven't given too much away and you still have something to learn from me. But that's basically the key of what we've done here.